What if I told you that the things men secretly crave most from a woman have nothing to do with looks, sex, or status, but everything to do with how she makes him feel when no one else is watching? Because while most people are busy trying to impress, the real magic happens when you understand what truly moves a man beneath the surface. And once you know these 5 silent turn-ons, you'll never chase love again. You'll attract it without even trying. Most people assume that men are driven almost entirely by physical desire, that what turns them on begins and ends with appearance. But if you ask men what makes a woman unforgettable, not just attractive for a night, but magnetic in a way that keeps him thinking about her long after she's left the room, it's something deeper, something quieter, and often overlooked. It's emotional validation, the kind that makes him feel seen, admired, respected, and safe. Men rarely talk about this openly. They've been raised to be tough, to keep things in, to chase achievement and prove their worth through action. But underneath that exterior, there's a deep craving to be understood and accepted. And when a woman gives him that feeling, not through praise or ego stroking, but through presence and emotional attentiveness, it does something to him. It disarms the part of him that's always been bracing for judgment, competition, or rejection. You see, men are constantly measuring themselves against other men, trying to be enough in a world that demands a lot but gives little back emotionally. So when a woman steps into his life and makes him feel like he doesn't have to perform or prove anything, something changes. Suddenly he can breathe. He starts to show her more of who he really is, not just what he thinks she wants to see. And the moment she receives that version of him, the real, imperfect, human version, without pulling away or criticizing or trying to fix him, he bonds. Not in a superficial way, but in a way that makes him associate her with peace, with emotional oxygen, with freedom. This kind of validation isn't loud. It's not about constantly reassuring him or inflating his ego. It's about listening without rushing to respond, noticing his effort when no one else does, making eye contact when he speaks, and being present with him even in silence. It's about asking the question that no one else bothers to ask, like, how are you really feeling about that? And then being quiet long enough for him to trust that he can tell the truth. When a woman validates a man emotionally, it reaches a part of him he doesn't even fully understand. Because so many men are touch-starved, yes, but they're also connection-starved. And connection doesn't begin with sex. It begins with safety, with softness, with sincerity. When she says, "I admire how hard you work, and I know it's not easy," it's like handing him a drink of water in a desert he didn't even realize he was walking through. Suddenly, this isn't about impressing her anymore. It's about relaxing into her presence. And that creates a kind of chemistry that can't be faked. A man may be drawn to looks, but he stays for how you make him feel about himself. He stays when being around you feels like coming home to a place where he's enough, where he's wanted, where he's understood. Emotional validation makes a man crave closeness. It makes him drop his guard. It makes him want to give more, open more, love more. Not because he's being manipulated, but because finally he's being met. There's a quiet confidence that can't be faked, and when a woman has it, men notice. It's not the loud, flashy kind that tries to dominate a room or prove something to the world. It's the type that shows up in the way she holds herself, the way she speaks with calm assurance, the way she doesn't need to compete with anyone else to feel valuable. That kind of confidence doesn't scream, it doesn't beg. It doesn't chase. It simply exists, and in its presence a man feels both challenged and inspired. The truth is, men are drawn to women who don't make them the center of their universe, not out of ego or games, but because it tells him she has a full life, a life she enjoys, a purpose she's connected to, and a sense of self that isn't dependent on anyone's approval. When a woman can be in a room with a man she likes and still remain grounded in her own identity, that's powerful. It tells him she's not there to be chosen, she's there to see if he aligns with what she values. That subtle shift changes everything. It takes the pressure off him to impress and flips the dynamic. He starts to feel curious about her. He wants to know what makes her so calm, so at peace with herself. That curiosity builds attraction. Confidence like this isn't about being aloof or cold. It's not about putting up walls. It's about being deeply in tune with your own worth. When a woman doesn't need validation from a man to feel beautiful or intelligent or enough, he starts to admire her in a different way. She becomes a mystery worth unraveling, not because she's hiding, but because she's not performing. She's not trying to be what he wants. She is who she is, and that authenticity is magnetic. Men can feel the difference between a woman who wants to be liked and a woman who is fully okay whether she's liked or not. The first one might get attention, the second one keeps it. She's not chasing compliments. She's not waiting for someone to notice her. She's fully engaged in her own life. And when a man enters it, she invites him, not because she needs him, but because she chooses him. That's rare, and what's rare becomes desirable. Confidence without arrogance also creates space for playfulness, softness, and connection, because it's not defensive. It's not coming from insecurity. A confident woman doesn't need to one-up, doesn't feel threatened by other women, and doesn't fall apart when someone doesn't text her back right away. She's rooted, and that root gives her strength, but also warmth. Men feel safe around that. They feel like they're with someone who's not going to crumble under pressure or lose herself in the relationship. She can bring support, joy, and depth without becoming dependent. This kind of woman can walk away if she's not being valued, and that awareness alone makes a man respect her more. It's not about fear, it's about value. He knows that if he doesn't step up, someone else might. Not because she's playing games, but because she knows her worth. She doesn't need to convince anyone to stay. She offers what she has, and if it's not received, she keeps walking. That quiet inner power becomes her signature, and every man who meets her feels it before she ever says a word. There's something powerful about feeling wanted, not for what you do or what you provide, but for who you are. And men, though rarely vocal about it, carry this longing more than most people realize. The world often teaches men that their value lies in their utility, how much they earn, how strong they are, what they can offer. And over time, they start to believe that if they stop performing, they stop being worthy of love. But what truly turns a man on, what truly draws him into a woman's orbit and makes him want to stay there, is the feeling of being wanted, desired. Not as a provider, not as a protector, but as a man. When a woman expresses genuine desire, not obligation, not gratitude, but real desire, it lights something up inside of him that no praise ever could. That's when he stops thinking and starts feeling. When she touches him with intention, when she looks at him like she sees him, not just his body but his energy, it breaks through the surface and reaches his core. A man doesn't want to feel like he's useful. He wants to feel irresistible. And that doesn't come from sex alone. It comes from a woman who makes him feel like she sees something in him no one else does. It's in the way she chooses to lean into him when he's speaking, the way she says his name with warmth and certainty, the way she pulls him closer, not because she needs him, but because she wants to be near him. That kind of energy shifts everything. Men carry so much pressure to be strong, logical, and emotionally controlled. So when a woman gives him permission to be fully present in his desire, and more importantly in her desire for him, he relaxes, he softens, he opens, he starts to express more freely, he starts to give more freely, he feels safe to let go of performance and just be. And the truth is, desire isn't about being available or saying yes to everything. It's about showing that you choose him deliberately, consciously, and with full presence. It's about being honest when you want to touch him, when you admire the way he looks in a certain shirt, when you love the way he laughs or handles a situation. Those little acknowledgements become moments that build intimacy. They may seem small, but to a man who's used to being needed for what he does, being wanted for who he is revolutionary. It tells him he's not just a role in your life, he's a real part of your desire. And that's a game changer. Men will go to great lengths for someone who makes them feel desired, not manipulated, not baited, just genuinely, fully wanted. It creates emotional momentum. It makes him feel like he matters, not just for what he can give, but for what he naturally brings to the connection. When he feels that, he starts to feel more connected to his own masculinity. Not the hard, closed-off version, but the confident, generous, fully alive version. The version that wants to give, protect, love, and lead, not out of duty, but because he feels called to. When a woman leads with desire instead of dependence, it tells him, I don't need you to survive, but I choose you because you ignite something in me. That's a rare kind of intimacy, and once he feels it, it becomes unforgettable. There's a side of men that gets overlooked, and it's the part that craves excitement, tension, and emotional unpredictability, not in a chaotic way, but in a way that keeps things alive. That thrill doesn't come from drama or arguments. It comes from a woman who knows how to keep things playful, mysterious, and emotionally dynamic. Playfulness isn't just about jokes or fun moments. It's about bringing an energy that says, I enjoy life, I enjoy us, and I don't take every moment too seriously. When a woman brings that spark, it creates a chemistry that doesn't fade. It keeps a man engaged because it touches the part of him that wants to be challenged and stimulated, not just intellectually but emotionally. A playful woman makes him feel young again, like he's chasing something worth chasing, even if he already has her. It's the teasing glance, the unexpected laugh, the way she can challenge him with her wit or flirt with him across the table without saying a word. That moment where he's not quite sure what she'll say next, where he has to lean in just a little closer to stay in the flow with her. That's where desire lives. Credibility kills passion, and many times relationships start off exciting, but slowly become repetitive, dull, transactional. A man may not even realize he's pulling away until the fun is gone. When a woman holds on to her playful edge, it creates contrast. It tells him that this isn't just about chores and schedules and conversations about bills. This is still about attraction, still about energy, still about fun. The mystery part is even deeper. Mystery doesn't mean hiding your feelings or being emotionally unavailable. It means you don't always reveal everything at once. You let layers unfold naturally with intention. You let curiosity grow. You don't rush to explain your every move or emotion. You let him wonder a little. You give him something to explore, something to pursue. Mystery is what keeps a man leaning forward, because it activates the part of him that wants to discover, to win, to unlock something special. A woman who is a little unpredictable, not in her loyalty or values, but in her emotional texture, keeps a man guessing in the best way. One day she's laughing at his jokes, the next day she's challenging his thinking with a deep question. One night she's warm and cuddly, the next day she's confident and focused on her own world. That variety is magnetic. It's not about being inconsistent, it's about being dynamic. And men are deeply turned on by that emotional range. When a woman can be soft and strong, playful and deep, light and powerful, it creates a kind of tension that he wants to keep experiencing. That tension isn't about stress, it's about chemistry. It's what keeps a kiss feeling new, even years into a relationship. It's what makes a touch feel intentional, not automatic. That emotional play keeps attraction alive in ways that physical looks alone never can. A man may not be able to explain why he keeps thinking about her, why he feels pulled toward her energy, why he misses her when she's not around. But it's that emotional dance, that push and pull, that playful tone and subtle unpredictability that created a bond far deeper than logic. When she gives him space to lead and then surprises him by taking the reins. When she lets him in but still keeps parts of her world private and sacred. When she plays without fear and invites him to join her in that joy. He feels alive. He feels desired. He feels like he's in something he wants to protect. Not because he has to, but because it brings out the best in him. Men hear compliments all the time, but what they rarely receive and what they deeply crave is genuine appreciation. It's easy to say something like, "You look good," or "You're so smart," and those compliments might feel nice for a moment, but they don't leave a lasting mark. Appreciation, on the other hand, reaches far deeper. It says, "I see your effort. I recognize your intention. I value what you bring to the table in a way that no one else does." That difference matters more than most people realize. Men, especially those who are providers, leaders, or protectors in any way, are often giving and doing constantly, but they're not always noticed for it. The world expects men to show up and be strong, be consistent, carry weight, make decisions, and when they do, it's seen as just doing their job. It's expected. Rarely does anyone stop and say, "I know that took energy," or "I don't take it for granted." When a woman slows down and acknowledges a man's effort, not in a dramatic way, but in an honest, warm, grounded tone, it changes something in him. It softens him, it makes him feel safe, it makes him want to keep showing up, keep giving, keep being his best self, because someone actually sees what he's doing. Not just the outcome, but the heart behind it. Appreciation goes beyond results and touches intention. It's not just "Thank you for paying for dinner," it's "I really admire how you always think ahead and make sure things are taken care of." It's not just "You're strong," it's "I respect the way you protect the people you love." These small shifts in language hit differently. They tell him that you're not just observing his actions, you're feeling them. You're tuned into what's behind them. And that makes a man feel emotionally safe in a world that often tells him to hide how much he cares. When a man feels appreciated, he gives more. Not because he's trying to earn approval, but because it fuels his masculine energy. It makes him feel like his contribution has meaning. Appreciation is also deeply personal. It means paying attention to the little things he does. When he opens a door without thinking, when he checks in on your day, when he follows through on something he said he'd do. Those are moments that are easy to overlook, but when you catch them and respond with warmth, it creates an emotional currency that goes far beyond physical attraction. He starts to associate your presence with a sense of being seen, not just watched, be valued, not just used. And that creates a deep emotional bond that can't be manufactured. Appreciation also invites vulnerability. When a man knows he can be acknowledged for his efforts, he becomes more comfortable showing emotion. He feels less afraid of failing or being judged. He knows he's in a space where his effort won't be taken for granted, where he doesn't have to be perfect to be valued. That kind of environment makes him more loving, more attentive, more emotionally available. It brings out the man he wants to be but doesn't always feel safe becoming. When a woman leads with appreciation, she becomes unforgettable. Not because she's flattering or inflating his ego, but because she touches the part of him that most people ignore. The part that wants to give, to serve, to show up powerfully, and to be seen not for what he's done, but for who he is when he's doing it. That's where the real connection lives. One of the most powerful things a woman can offer a man, something that turns him on not just physically but emotionally, is the ability to truly listen without trying to fix, judge, or interrupt. In a world full of noise where everyone seems to be waiting for their turn to talk instead of listening to understand, a woman who listens with presence stands out in a way that's unforgettable. Most men are used to people hearing their words, but not their meaning. They talk about their work, their stress, their thoughts, but few people actually pause and give them the space to unpack what's really going on underneath. And because men are often taught to suppress their deeper feelings, they get used to holding back. They carry weight silently. They become selective about what they say and how they say it because experience has taught them that being open can be a risk. But when a woman sits across from him and just listens, with eyes that don't wander, with a heart that stays calm even when he says something messy, with a stillness that communicates you're safe here, it breaks through his armor. It tells him that she's not just interested in his surface story, but in who he is underneath the image. That kind of listening is rare, and it creates intimacy on a level most people never reach. When a man feels like he doesn't have to rush, doesn't have to filter, doesn't have to defend, he starts to show more of himself. He might not pour everything out at once, but he'll test the waters. He'll say something a little vulnerable, something he normally hides, just to see what she'll do with it. If she handles it with care, without flinching or judging or immediately jumping to advice, his trust in her deepens. That trust doesn't just make him feel safe, it makes him feel seen. And being seen is one of the deepest turn-ons a man can experience. It makes him feel like he matters beyond what he can give. It makes him feel like he can breathe. When a woman listens, truly listens, she becomes a mirror. Not the kind that reflects flaws, but the kind that shows him who he is when he's most real, most human. And that reflection can be healing. It can shift how he sees himself. It can soften the parts of him that have gone numb from always needing to be in control. Listening also creates a quiet power dynamic. It's not passive, it's incredibly active. Because a woman who listens with depth isn't just receiving information, she's discerning, she's picking up on the unsaid. She's aware of what matters to him, what scares him, what he's passionate about. That kind of insight is seductive because it shows a level of emotional intelligence that most people don't bring into relationships. She's not listening to respond, she's listening to know him. And when a man feels known, he feels connected. That connection isn't built on shared hobbies or surface compatibility. It's built on feeling emotionally safe in someone's presence. It's built on the experience of being able to take off the mask and still be wanted. That safety creates a space where he can open up sexually, emotionally, mentally. And in that space, he's not just showing up as a man who wants something. He becomes a man who wants to give, to love, to protect, to show up, because he finally feels like someone understands him without trying to change him. That's the kind of turn-on that lasts long after the physical moment fades. It becomes a bond that holds steady, even in silence. So when you peel back all the layers, beyond the surface level advice, beyond the cliches, what truly turns a man on at his core isn't just about attraction, it's about connection. It's about the quiet confidence that makes him feel like he's met someone who doesn't need him, but chooses him. It's about being seen not just for what he does, but for who he is when he's not trying to impress. It's about being desired without pressure, appreciated without performance, challenged in ways that awaken his spirit, and heard in ways that disarm his defenses. The truth is, men crave depth even when they don't say it. They want someone who brings softness without losing strength, who holds mystery without playing games, who listens without trying to fix, and who speaks not just to their mind or body, but straight to their soul. Because at the end of the day, what keeps a man coming back, what keeps his heart invested and his passion alive, isn't just how much you give, it's how deeply you get him. And when a woman embodies these turn-ons with authenticity, she doesn't just capture his attention, she earns his devotion.